For my digital storytelling project, I decided to use the Table Mountain Ecological Reserve as my story to tell. First, I think it's important to start with why I chose Table Mountain as my digital story. As a social science major and a future teacher, I think there is nothing more important than the preservation of our environment. With that being said, one of the most important lessons I have learned so far being in the social science program is the importance of sustainability. Merriam-Webster defines sustainability as means capable of being sustained. The reason why this is important is that in order to properly uphold being a sustainable society, we have to do the right things in terms of properly sustaining our environment. In this digital story, I plan on telling the history of the Table Mountain Ecological Reserve, sustainability issues involving Table Mountain. I will also discuss what Table Mountain does good and what it does bad. And finally, I will conclude with the issue plaguing Table Mountain and solutions we can use to help reduce the damage. Now, let's talk about the brief history of Table Mountain and its purpose as an ecological reserve. In 1993, the California Department of Fishing and Wildlife purchased the property to preserve the northern basalt flow, vernal pools, habitat type, and sensitive species. Funds for this acquisition were provided by Proposition 70, a 1988 voter-approved initiative that designated funds specifically for the acquisition of significant natural areas as identified by the department. Additional land was acquired in 1997 to enable direct public access from the Garville parking lot on Cherokee Road. The property was designated as an ecological reserve by the Fish and Game Commission in 2003. When it comes to sustainability in terms of looking at Table Mountain Ecological Reserve, it serves as a great example of what good sustainable methods are being used to protect the environment. The reason why Table Mountain serves as a great example of good sustainable methods is because Table Mountain has already been designated as an ecological reserve. Now, the question is, what does an ecological reserve protect? Well, the purpose of ecological reserves are for the maintenance of biological diversity. Basically, the establishment of an ecological reserve is that in order to keep our natural ecosystem balanced, we need sufficient biodiversity. The last portion of sustainability is being properly able to identify the people who are in charge of taking care of their region's sustainability. These people are primarily the people in Butte County because the ecological reserve serves a major point of interest in the area and provides as a huge protector of the biodiversity in the area. To a further extent, the people of Butte County should be most concerned with the sustainability of Table Mountain because the state of the ecological reserve reflects how well the people of Butte County are being environmentally proactive. The establishment of ecological reserves is only the first step in protecting an ecological reserve, and in this portion I'll explain what Table Mountain does good and bad in order to protect the reserve. One of the most crucial parts of maintaining an ecological reserve is in their management plan. The purpose of a management plan is to identify the important elements of wildlife and nature conservation and give a framework and coordination to the management required to protect these features. I believe that the things that Table Mountain does great is that since it was established as an ecological reserve, it got set pathing throughout, it has great signage throughout, it has a management plan, and lastly, they have people buying land passes in order to enter the ecological reserve. As for things they do bad, they need improved pathing along with fencing to prohibit people from walking off trail and ruining the biodiversity. I also believe that despite making people buy land passes, I can't say they heavily enforce and ensure people have their land passes to enter the reserve. I believe that these are part of the issues with Table Mountain in which we have to get the people of Butte County to take care of it because of how much it reflects their state of environment in their area. With all that being said, here are 3 ways we can immediately help preserve Table Mountain. The first way is we can create access improvements to Table Mountain by establishing better footpaths. That way people are less likely to be trampling on the wildlife inside Table Mountain. The great thing with it being an ecological reserve is that it already has a great infrastructure, but there are portions of the ecological reserve where you can see people not staying on the trails or even a lack of a good trail. This leads me into my next solution, in which we add the creation of various sized boardwalks in order to create additional pathing. This solution works directly in relation to improving the footpaths across the ecological reserve, especially when taking into consideration the big boom of people coming during bloom season. Hence, this is why I believe that it's so important to provide the best pathing available to maintain the environmental integrity of the ecological reserve. The last thing that I believe would benefit the preservation of Table Mountain is the additions of more informational boards throughout Table Mountain, along with updating the current ones that are already available there. I believe the lack of informational boards throughout the ecological reserve is kind of astounding, as the only boards that are available are just at the beginning. The addition of informational boards and key points of interest throughout the ecological reserve, such as at Ravine Falls or Phantom Falls sites, as well as the addition of informational signage by specific patches of the flowers or cows, allow guests at Table Mountain to care more about the ecological reserve. To conclude my digital storytelling assignment, I think it's very important to discuss the issues with the preservation of Table Mountain. This key issue being human interaction with the Table Mountain. The reason why this is the most important issue is that the increase of human interaction in Table Mountain increases the likelihood of damaging the ecological balance in place, which is why during times such as bloom season, which is peak human interaction with the ecological reserve, it's important that we continue to protect and maintain the health of the biodiversity of the reserve.